Hi there once again. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. This is Leading Edge. Once again, coming up in just a few minutes, being a board member, what does that look like? What should it feel like? How do you know if you're right for it or if it's right for you? We'll talk about that. But first, it's an area organization that has paid out more than $7,500,000 in grants and scholarships this year alone. In 2023, it celebrated 50 years of being an area engine for philanthropic interests and needs. But this could be a year of transition for the Greater Toledo Community Foundation. That's because its president and CEO for the last 20 years has announced his retirement. We want to welcome in Keith Burwell joining us here on Leading Edge today. 20 years. I know the announcement came weeks and weeks ago, but each time that resonates. What are you thinking about that?
It went by with a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe where we started and where we're at, but as I always say, we're not finished.
Yeah. I talked about philanthropic needs and interest out in the community, but give people the Cliff Notes once again for what Greater Toledo Community Foundation does for the community.
Sure. We're closing in on $500 million as a foundation that's the #1 philanthropic engine for Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan. We have around 1,200 different funds where individuals have put money into the foundation to give back to the community. Those funds last year gave away grants to 1,300 different nonprofits in the area. And we're on pace, as you mentioned, what we've given so far, but
Right.
We're on pace. We'll give away close to $20 to $30 million by the end of this year.
We have done so many stories about nonprofits and some of the passion and purpose, I like to say, that we bring to the show each and every week, Keith. But where is the pulse of philanthropy throughout Northwest Ohio as you see it? Where are the strengths? Where is the growth potential?
Well, Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan is a unique area. As I tell a lot of our consultants that come into town to help with fundraising or when I'm out across the country, we don't have a lot of billionaires just walking the streets. And so we don't have individuals that are going to write a $100 million check with just one stroke. But we do have a lot of individuals who want to give back. And they're small business individuals, they're teachers, they're firemen, they're individuals that you walk the streets with every day that have been blessed by their life and they want to give back and help the folks coming behind them be blessed as well.
We've seen the articles written. You've said, I'm retiring, but I said to you before we came on, I said, it's kind of a fluid situation, is it not?
It is. The agreement is find the right person. So that could be in short order, or it could be a little longer order. It won't be forever, but I would, in my personal opinion, let them take the time, find the right individual to fill the role, and then I will quietly just move into the sunset. So that we keep moving. It's what we do is too important to the community, and have a date certain, throw a ticker tape parade. I'm joking, but and
Right.
then there'd be an empty seat there. Let's find the right person that keeps the engine moving, so we keep controlling and helping move the city to the next level.
Best moment for you in the 50-year celebration last year? Mine was the David Foster concert, but you can go on with...
We kicked it off with a great concert.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me it was the best concert we've had in town in 20 years. I've been here 20 years. But, each and every event
And you also told me you will not go into concert promoting as your next career.
I will not. I will leave that to professionals. We are not event and we are not concert folks, but we enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah.
But we did so many different things. We put roofs on 40 homes across the community for people who are in need of homes. We help people go out to Black Swamp and walk through nature. We did 4 concerts in July. Every single month was a great blast, and I can't say that it was just one moment that was captured at all, because each moment built on itself.
What about for you, the last 20 years? I mean, what is your proudest moment, you think, as you look back?
I don't settle on one moment because I like the fact we continue to grow. And while it might drive the staff over at the foundation nuts, I say we're never finished. So every time we get to a benchmark, I said, let's go a little bit farther.
Right.
So there's not just one particular point. The fact that we've grown from under 100 million now to closing in on $500 million is a great achievement, but it's not enough.
I saw a tweet earlier, listen to me. I saw a post on X, this week, talking about the Jamie Farr Foundation and that just being another one of those drivers that you guys have been involved with. I mentioned to you before we came on, I had the folks from Mid-Story on, and you brought me into this conversation a long time ago. You said, Jeff, I've got these kids who are coming over from the East Coast, MIT graduates, Ivy League. They want to come back to town. Their story has just grown by leaps and bounds, has it not?
It has, and they're a great story. It's like, okay, we have this higher level education, but we're living in the East Coast, New York City, and we're paying an exorbitant amount of money for this box. We can take our talent and come back to where we came from. And what's I think is beautiful.
A couple of Southview grads, as I remember.
Yes, and they're saying, well, that's not enough. Let's bring some folks with us. So they're about telling the story to all those graduates on the East Coast. You can do the same thing in New York City you can do in Toledo.
As the board of Greater Toledo Community Foundation maybe watches this morning and they think, man, where are we going to find the successor to this guy? What do you think Toledo needs in that next leader?
It's a combination of folks, I think, and I'm not important enough to think that.
You were the fourth leader of this organization.
Yeah. Someone who has a little bit of knowledge around the investment world, because what we do is put money in the market, try to grow it, although we claim not to be, professionals at investments. A little bit of knowledge around how do you make impact. Not just, as I use the expression, not spreading peanut butter everywhere, but actually making change in a positive way happen. And then how do you talk to individuals who have been able to acquire a net worth and they want to give back? What can you afford them? Probably my biggest regret in what I'm doing is that philanthropy has come into a little bit of a business model. And while that's good in some sense, because we want to be professional, we want to be business, in another sense, it's taking the idea of let's give back. So a lot of people are hanging their shingles saying, this is, let me help you figure out philanthropy. There's 19 people. I mean, Kim Cryan and Abby Aldridge, they're on the executive level. Patrick and Kirsten are helping with donors and making grants. There's 19 people that were expertise.
Great team effort.
Yeah, it's not one person.
No.
The next person coming in asks, how do you put that team together and keep the ship sailing?
Leadership.
Exactly.
Keith, good to see you.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. Continued success to this guy and good luck in the future as well. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We said in the opening of the show that we were going to talk about board service. Being a member of a board, what does that look like? What should it feel like? How do you know if it's right for you, if they're right for you? This is something I really wanted to have a conversation with Emily Croak from the Allie Sterling Philanthropy join us and kind of walk us through it. So Emily, good to see you. Thanks for doing this with me. I said to you, and I was telling some people in the newsroom, I said, board membership, if you're not on a board yet, if you haven't even considered it, a little intimidating?
A lot, yeah.
Is that what keeps people away from?
Absolutely. I think people just don't know where to start. The beautiful thing about Toledo is we've got thousands of nonprofits, and all of them need board members. But people don't really understand what that means. Ultimately, it's volunteering for a mission that you love, but in a more skilled and more formal way.
How do you find what's right for you or you're right for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think doing some research, right? So it's not enough necessarily to just have a mission that you are passionate about, but you need to make sure that they're running like a business and operating. So doing some research, attending an event of your favorite nonprofit, volunteering for a program, joining a committee, those are all really great ways to kind of test the waters and see if joining the board might be something that you're interested in.
One of the things I talked to you about before we came on today, I said people may think they're not smart enough, they're not rich enough, they're not plugged in enough or connected enough. But you said those are just kind of misnomers, yes?
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, everyone has unique skill sets that boards absolutely need, whether that's background or technical skills or soft skills. People are great leaders. Maybe you've got great connections in your community or your neighborhood. Boards need that. And while there is often a financial commitment to join a board, it's not the dollar amount. It's that you are willing to make a financial contribution of any amount that's meaningful to you. And we always say it's time, talent, and treasure. If you can give in one of those ways, great. If you can give in two or three, even better. All of those are meaningful to nonprofits.
I want to talk about some of the talking points. So roles and expectations, let's start there. What should a said soon-to-be board member think?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, boards are responsible for oversight and governance of the organization. So you need to make sure that the organization can continue to make an impact and stay around for a long time. So board members are responsible for making sure that the nonprofit has money, that they abide by certain bylaws and guidelines, that they fill out the right forms. So there are some technical things that need to be done, but ultimately it's all about making sure that you're a good culture fit and making sure that you're ultimately giving 3, 4, 5, 6 years of your life to this mission when you agree to be on a board.
Yeah.
And so you want to do some due diligence on the front end.
We're going to roll down the line, finding the right board. You talked about that already just a little bit, but how do you know it's the right board for you?
Yeah, so a few different things. One, I always say, try to join a board meeting. Ask if you can join for just a few minutes. If it's something you're seriously considering, you'll get a sense of the culture and how the organization operates. Look at their strategic plan. Look at some of their programs and how they operate. Again, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of homework. We would never take a new job without doing some homework and talking to a few different people. So treat it like you are going to get a new job. Make sure that there's an interview process and make sure that you're asking questions. There's
Biggest
nothing
thing,
wrong.
do your homework
Absolutely.
like you said. Recruitment and assessing the health of a board. You talked about that as well. There's money behind it. There's structure behind it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you don't ever want is to be a part of a board where there's something going wrong within the organization, because board members can be held liable if something goes wrong.
Is culture important too?
Oh my gosh, so important, because every organization operates differently. Some nonprofits are grassroots. It's all hands on deck, everybody's doing the work. Others are more established and you're a little bit more hands off, more responsible for oversight. Everybody wants something different. Some people want to be hands on and all into the mission, and others really just want to kind of look at what's going on from a distance. Nothing wrong with either of those, but you have to determine what's best for you.
And finally, commitment and engagement. Engagement, I think, is the kind of the buzzword right there that I want to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. So how engaged you are over time, you're making this big commitment. So you have to make sure that you are giving the skills and the talents that you want to give. If you're an attorney during the day, maybe you do want to be on a board where they need some of those skill sets, but
Does
maybe
being
you don't.
a board member mean being a fundraiser?
So yes and no, but maybe
I hit on something.
I know, but maybe not in the ways you think,
Okay.
right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to knock on doors and say, "Hey, will you please make a gift to this nonprofit?" But what it can mean is you're willing to make introductions to family and friends who might also love that mission, or it might be that you're willing to say thank you to some of the current donors as a board member. So yes to the fundraising, but maybe not in those terrifying ways that people associate.
And it may be just an education moment where you are opening somebody's eyes to what you are passionate about and making that connection.
And that's the best part of being a board member. You get to talk about these missions that you're totally in love with, and that you actually get to have a role in making sure that nonprofit is here for the long term.
Yeah, Allie Sterling, Philanthropy, Emily Croak, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hopefully we've opened your eyes and ears to this. We'll be back right after this. Well, this year marks a major milestone, 10 years since the water crisis. It was August 2nd, 2014, when that do not drink advisory came out in the early morning hours. Since then, there have been renewed efforts to protect our water. We've seen a focus on Lake Erie and huge improvements to prevent it from happening again. Something Toledo Mayor Kapszukiewicz talked about in 2019.
I don't think we will ever see a drinking water crisis in this community ever again.
The Toledo Mayor joining us now here once again, and coming up on this anniversary this year. Initial thoughts when you looked at the calendar and you said, wow, it's been 10 years.
Well, first of all, initial thoughts, since I saw that video from 2019, is I've lost a few pounds.
Well, that's good. Congratulations.
That's okay. 10 years has gone by, and in some ways it's hard to believe it's been 10 years, but in some ways the crisis is still with us, though not from a drinking water perspective. I mean, though I look a little differently than I did back then, I still agree with the sentiment of what I said. We do still have a lake water problem, but we no longer have a drinking water problem, and that is because the citizens of Toledo, unfortunately with very little help from the state or federal government, reached into their pockets and made the investments at the Collins Park water plant now that allows us to take water from what is still a polluted source And now it allows us to feel comfortable that what comes out of the faucet is not just drinkable, but actually, since the water crisis, we've won awards for the quality of our drinking water. The shame is we even had to invest $500 million to make sure that we have all the most modern gadgets and gizmos and doohickeys at the Collins Park plant to make sure that the water is drinkable. It would be nice if we had some help from our friends in Columbus and Washington who for 10 years haven't done anything to help us. So we have had to bear the burden ourselves almost exclusively to get to the point where we can still be worried about the quality of the lake, but we don't have to be worried about the quality of our drinking water.
Graduated levels of concern, and we think back to 2014. Obviously, we've gone through a pandemic since then, for gosh sakes, Mayor. But when we look back at 2014 and the level of concern there and the fact that nobody died, nobody got, deathly ill from anything that we went through that weekend. But I bring this up because I've gone around talking to the Regional Water Commission members this week, and they have said to me that the one good thing that came out of this was the commission. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that happening...
They said politics no longer became water no longer became a weapon, and politics was out of the cards.
I think that was one of my priorities in my early days as mayor, was helping to put the politics aside and cooperating over water. I mean, water is our greatest resource in this region. We're sitting on we have 20% of all the fresh water on planet Earth in our backyard. And at a time when the Earth is getting drier and thirstier, that's going to be a heck of an advantage long term for our community. It never made sense that we fought over it. Heck, the reason the city of Oregon exists literally was because of a fight over water. They wanted Toledo's water, Toledo in 1958 or 59. Toledo refused to give it to them, so they said, the heck with you, we'll form our own city and build our own plant. We've been fighting over water for almost 100 years. Just from a sense of regional stability, it made sense to cooperate. I know that was one of the things I campaigned on, but I think it is also the case that the crisis in 2014, which had just happened, was probably, in some ways, a unifying event that sent a signal to all the political players, all the mayors of Maumee and Pearisburg and Toledo and Sylvania and the rest, that we need to come together and cooperate. I think it is one of the great successes we've enjoyed over the last couple of years.
And if I say to you, where are we now? Are we in a better place 10 years down the road?
Well, there's no question on regional cooperation. We're in a better place. We weren't cooperating even 6 years ago. Now we have contracts in place for the rest of my life with our suburban partners, and that's how it should be. We're cooperating over our greatest resource, not fighting over it. We're actually also in a better place on the quality of our drinking water. Again, not to get too technical, just 2 years ago we spent, and again, there's a cost to this, $50 million to create a state-of-the-art, it's called an ozonation process, which essentially we introduce ozone into the water filtration process. Ozone quite literally kills microstesin, and by introducing ozone, we utterly eliminate any possibility of water being toxic and poisoning us. So we never again have to worry about our drinking water. So we're better off in that regard. It is a shame, though, I'll continue to say, that we've gotten so little help from the federal EPA, the state EPA, and that the folks who have caused the problem. Again, the reason that we had a water crisis is because
phosphorus buildup in the lake.
Phosphorus buildup. Yeah. And sometimes the politicians in Columbus try to blame cities because we have wastewater treatment plants. Well, that's true. Their own studies indicate that those wastewater treatment facilities are part of the problem. Yeah. Numerically, about 4.5% of the problem, 95.5% of it comes from not small mom and pop farmers, but these enormous CAFOs, this huge agribusiness, which continues uninterrupted to pollute our water source. So our lake is still a problem, even while we can celebrate the fact that we no longer have to worry about our drinking water.
You get up in the morning, you go down to the kitchen, you get yourself a glass of water. You ever think about it?
I never think about it because I never think about the quality of what I'm drinking because I know it is not only safe, it is award-winning. I never think about it then. When I'm at my office, I do think about our lake and the unfairness that the taxpayers of Toledo have had to tax themselves to the tune of $500 million, while the state, primarily the state EPA and the state legislature, looks the other way as these huge CAFOs continue to create the problem. It's among the least fair things I can ever imagine happening in public policy when you really think about it. A problem being caused by others elsewhere has been corrected and paid for exclusively by the people who aren't causing the problem.
Let me ask you this, final 15 seconds. What is being done to get on the horn with the feds, with the state, and get some help? If you're saying they're not helping us, what are we doing to get their help?
We're suing them. The Lucas County Commissioners and the City of Toledo just in the last 2 weeks have brought suit against the state and federal EPA. In our judgment, they're not doing their job. They are not enforcing the standards that have allowed Lake Erie to get the way it is. The fact of the matter is, this isn't a complicated solution. All you have to do is regulate the phosphorus that spills uninterrupted. They refuse to do it. They don't do it. And if you were going back to the water crisis, you remember Governor Kasich and all these bold proposals. Oh, in the next 5 years, we'll have a 40% reduction. There has been a 0% reduction in the amount of toxicity in the water. In some ways, by some measures, the water is more toxic today than it was 10 years ago. The state and the federal government has done nothing. All of the money they've spent, you hear about H2 Ohio, that's adorable. That's nice. It's totally wasted money because it is voluntary. You talk about the carrot and the stick, it's all carrot, there's no stick. And because there's no stick, the pollution continues. We have to pay for it, which we're happy to do because otherwise we wouldn't have drinking water. Look, we're in a better place because we can drink our water with confidence now. But it doesn't mean the path to where we are today has been fair, and that's why we continue to fight about it. And in this case, we continue to litigate about it.
Coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the water crisis of 2014, of course, for any of our past coverage, you can look at our website, WTOL.com. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey there, just a reminder, if you missed any part of our interview or any of our past interviews here on Leading Edge, you can go to the WTOL 11 YouTube page and find everything you need right there, including some old clips of Jerry Anderson and Robert Shields. We appreciate you spending some time with us each and every week here on Leading Edge. I'm Jeff Smith. If you have ideas for the show, send them my way. Have a great rest of your week.